Hi. Hi. Andrea Mitchell here. We are going to do Monday Masterclass, and today's Masterclass is going to be recapping Gold School that was in Dallas this weekend. We had, what would y'all say, about 200 to 250 people in the room for Gold School. It was actually high energy, I felt like, the entire time. And it wasn't high energy coming from corporate. I actually felt like the field was like each table kind of felt like they had their own energy kind of going. I actually think some of the most inspirational things that happened that day were us getting like some great nuggets from the presenters, but then what those nuggets actually meant for the people at the table was huge. So I want to hear from some different people that were in the room at the event, all different kind of areas and levels and kind of feedback. And so I'm actually going to start with Sarah, just because we don't get to hear from Sarah very often. We've heard from a lot of people over different calls. And so Sarah, tell us kind of how you earned the trip, and maybe like 2 or 3 takeaways that you got from the weekend that just felt like these are like big nuggets for going forward with my business.
So I actually earned the trip, the training. I earned Gold School almost a year ago in November. So Black Friday, I earned Leaders Retreat last November, and I was Senior Silver when I earned Leaders Retreat. And so I was kind of surprised myself with that. And then I came home from Leaders Retreat, and that same month I went Gold. And my sister-in-law is actually on another team. And when I earned Leaders Retreat, she was like, I can do this too. So it was really cool. We actually earned gold together the same month. So that was really fun. And of course, we live in Houston, Texas. So we waited until Gold School was in Dallas because we wanted to have a girls' road trip. And I'm really actually glad that we waited, because I don't know if I would have been like ready to receive everything that I got at Gold School if I went the very first one that was available to me. I don't feel like I would have like absorbed it as effectively, I guess. And so some of my major takeaways was, number one, they were talking about if you're going to lead other people, you have to lead yourself first. And that's something I have been working on the last several months, just making sure my consistency is there, that I'm doing the things I need to do for my own mindset, captivating thoughts that come my way that are negative, and really kind of like talking to my sponsor through those things. And they talked about being a reactive leader versus a proactive leader, and broke that down. And it was just pretty eye-opening to see some of the things, like a reactive leader says yes to everything, and a proactive leader says no more than they say yes. And that was like, okay, like I feel like I am a people-pleasing person. I always want to say yes to everything. I always want to help everybody. And sometimes you can't do that. So it was really good to hear that. And then just them talking about your mindset. And for me, it was really cool to see how many leaders in the company were there, and like getting to sit at a table with the top earners in the company and diamonds and people that you see on all these trainings. And they are, I hear people say this all the time, but getting to experience, like, they are real people. I got to be a roommate with a diamond, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, she's in the same hotel room as me. And like, she's such a real, genuine, like, loving person. And to see that is so cool, because it's like, oh, they're just like me. Oh, they send messages just like me, and they're scared just like me, but they're not giving up. And so I don't have to give up either. So that was really, really cool.
Yeah, Sarah, tell us who your jewel upline is.
My jewel upline is Jill Halligan, and then my diamond upline is Julia Carty, but we roomed with Angie Zumwalt.
And then tell me who was at your table. What diamonds were at your table?
Celeste Gwynn. So I was like, I texted my husband. I was like, oh my God. And then Roz was at our table. I didn't get to meet everybody at our table, but it was just so cool to like just hear them share and like, oh my gosh, they're just like me. Like they do stuff and they're terrified too, but they do it. And look at where it's gotten them. Like I can do that too.
Yeah, Sarah, I learned, loves to fangirl. If there's a celebrity on our trip, she will make sure she has a picture with them. But also, like, there's a little bit of that in Plexus, right? Like, there's a little bit of that with like the Celeste or the Roz or the Angie or the people that you may not get FaceTime with, but you've seen them a lot. And Becky and I can probably tell you 20 diamonds that we fangirled over kind of in the beginning because they trained us, they taught us, they led us. I think I watched 100 Sonia Dudley videos before I ever met her in person. Same with Sarah Marble. And then all of a sudden, these people over years and years of going on trips and spending time together and brainstorming and collaborating, you actually become friends with them. And then they become your peers in a lot of ways, which is crazy. But I think that's a great example, Sarah, if you're sitting at a table with Celeste and Celeste is going, hey, so could you, like, how would you respond to this? Or you're going, oh, wait, she's nervous to send this too, or this is an uncomfortable place for her. And you're going, oh, we really are all very similar. It's just she's done it at a different expansive level than I have. Like Celeste has heard no 100,000 times more than all of us. And she also had a massive friend, like level of friend groups to start out with when this was all new. I'm not saying that this doesn't happen anymore, but there's a little bit of her amazingness is a little bit of timing of just like network marketing, gut health, her friend group specifically. And so I think for you, Sarah, you're getting to sit and go, oh, wait, if I send the same thing and do the same things that Celeste is doing, it may not come out the exact same, but at least like we can all do that. Like everybody sitting at that table can work their business the exact same way. And I think that's really, it's really neat to get to hear. Okay. I know we heard from Sally and Pam recently, so I'm not going to ignore y'all. Y'all are going to get to speak, but I want to get to hear from Christy. And I know Christy and Becky talked this morning, so I want to kind of turn it over to the two of them and kind of talk through some of the things that they talked through this morning.
Yeah. Well, Christy and I, actually, we've had two very deep conversations at the past two conventions. And Christy Salcedo, if you're on Masterclass, then you already know her. I don't really need to introduce you to her, but some of my favorite things about Christy is that she's hungry and teachable, and her faith is deep. But this past year, I really just wanted to pull Christy in and give her time and give her community. I think it's really important that you feel like you're running with some accountability partners on a daily basis. And it was maybe like a month and a half ago, and I do think it was Angie Zumwalt had maybe posted something about, a Plexus opportunity meeting happening in Florida. And I just texted it to Christy and was like, could you do this? And I reached out to Angie and was like, hey, because Christy is my level 7. I was like, I've got a level 7. Can she come to this? And it just ended up that Christy got asked to share her testimony because Christy has a really powerful before and after. She's got many photos, but her story is real, like her health story is incredible. And I don't want to steal any of your thunder, Christy, but she was able to share at this opportunity meeting where Genevieve Scory just was immediately impressed. And I'll let her tell kind of the story. She shared it a little bit, I think even last week on Masterclass, because I know you guys were praying for her. But Christy, will you tell the story of how you went from sharing your testimony at this op meeting to sharing to the Hispanic market on Friday, and then what the weekend was like for you? And we will ask you some questions as you go. Oh, she's running away really quick. No, just kidding. She's back.
Okay, sorry. My daughter just walked in loudly on the phone. Okay, so I was telling Becky this morning, it's been a lot to process because especially, and I was reading a lot in the Bible, God does things like literally all of a sudden, and that's what's been happening. I would say kind of started at convention, my mindset shifted. I was in a rut for a while. And I finally was trying to make things happen my way. And wasn't happening. I kept hitting a wall. And I said, okay, I'm giving this to you. What did it, if this is not for me, then take it. If it is, then I need you to show me what it is that I need to do. So the thing with plexus too, and especially like I've been in it, it'll be 6 years in January. And at the beginning, it really is about us, right? Because we just want to feel better and be present and all this stuff. But the way that God uses it, and the longer that you're in it, you see it in yourself, but you see it in other people it's so much deeper. Like he has revived me, not just physically, but just in who I am. He's refined me through all of this. He's deepened my faith through all of this. Like it's hard to really put into words. And I'm gonna get emotional. I've cried so much. For many years, I would say with Plexus, he's hidden me on purpose to prepare me for a lot of these things that he's told me before. And I'm starting to see those things happening now. I wouldn't have been able to handle any of that before. And now that he's doing it, and I'm just expectant to what's happening. So I'm an introvert times a million. And but I will say, sharing my story, I don't ever feel like it's about me, because I know it's about him. And I have such a strong belief with what he could do with this company, these products, and oh yeah, they are loud. And because I've seen it in myself, and I've gotten to see it in other people. So, but I am, when I get asked to speak, now lately I have been, I have to filter it through his lens. And so I got to ask, well, the whole thing with Angie, they did the 100 pop-up thing around the United States. I didn't even know there was this Florida one. So Becky sent me the picture. You actually didn't say anything. You just sent me the picture. And I was like, okay, cool. That would be cool to go to.
That's how fast my brain works. I'm like, I just get this information out of my brain.
So I was like, and then I'm the person, if you know me, I have a lot of questions. So Becky was like, I don't know, you asked this, and I hadn't met Angie personally, but she knew of me and things. So she was like, yeah, come. And then she's like, oh, you could talk, right? Basically kind of telling me that I'm going to be speaking. And I was like, okay, sure. A little nervous because literally not one person I have met here at this place. And it was about an hour drive from me. And so I was able to share, and then I find out, well, I'd meet 𝗠𝗢𝗡, who's there. The funny thing I'm learning about all of this, a lot of people see my before and after pictures, which is great, because I think that's the hook to maybe bring people in. And weight loss is important, and it does so much for you, but my story is so much deeper than just the weight loss. So a lot of these people, and they happen this weekend too. Oh my gosh, I've shared your pictures. Well, nice to meet you. And I'm like, okay, yeah, just wait till you hear what I'm going to share. And so that happened there too. And I got to share. 𝗠𝗢𝗡 have never heard my story. Angie never heard my story. And I was able to just share. What I love about Plexus is that I can share about God while I'm sharing this. This is not like, okay, you need to down that a bit and you really need to amplify Plexus. No, it's the same platform equally, like, well, not equally, but so that happened. It was really cool. I got to meet 𝗠𝗢𝗡. I was sweating, like sweating. And I stumbled, oh gosh, hold on.
We can still hear you and see you.
Oh, my camera just literally, hold on, my computer just went to screensaver. I'm sorry.
Well, just know we can see you and hear you. You're good on this end.
Okay, I guess I could just talk to, it's not happening. So I was able to talk to her and things, and immediately, like I said, all of a sudden, she found out just through conversation that I'm Hispanic. I'm Cuban, and she was like, "Oh, have you met anyone?" No, she like was like, "You need to meet Laura." And Laura is the head director of the Hispanic market, Plexus. That they are really working hard to grow because it's a very untapped market and it's a very needed market. And so she got my phone, she texted me, put my number in her phone, you know, vice versa. So I have Genevieve's number now. And she gave Laura my number. Like while I'm about to go up and speak, Laura's texting me. And then Laura's she gives a number to Nudies, which is her like right under Laura, who plans these events, and she's texting me, hey, because then after I talk, Genevieve sends a video of me, a snippet of me, I guess, to Laura, and they are like, okay, we need you to come share at this thing, you know, the Hispanic thing. So it all just bam, bam, bam has happened. And I got flown to Dallas. Like they paid for my airfare, they paid for my hotel, and was just treated, you know, with open arms. The Hispanic community is very, in general, just welcoming and warm because that's just how the culture is. I would say every single one of them are probably extroverts. I'm not. So, but it was definitely needed to push me outside my comfort zone. So then I was able to share with them. And the same thing, they're like, oh, I never heard of your story or your pictures. I know your pictures. And anyways, so after that, Genevieve came into the room later and was like asking me if I was going to stay for Gold School. Now I have earned Gold School in the past. I just have never attended. And she invited me to stay. And they made it happen with my hotel and my airfare and everything. And I was able to stay. And this was probably one of my favorite trainings that I've attended.
So first of all, tell us a little bit of this. What did you hear at the meeting for the Hispanic market that built your belief?
It the emphasis of that this is really bigger than me. Like I knew that, but like Genevieve had talked about it too. So much of this impacts legacies in people's families. It's not just what's going to happen to me and my family right now, but it's already impacted my kids. But it's going to impact my kids' kids and my kids' kids and my kids' kids because the trajectory of my life has radically changed. And this is the same thing that happens into other people's lives too. So it gave me a very bigger, deeper purpose and vision of what this really potentially could be in people's lives.
And as far as, you know, we've talked about how I texted Christy this morning, and I think I said this to you even after the op meeting in Florida. I see this as God's favor. What does it do for how you present the business opportunity to your market now that you've also experienced what it's like to really have favor with Plexus? How does it change how you're recruiting or how you're talking to people?
I guess it really deepens your and widens your belief, your umbrella of what your belief in this is, and what is possible for other people. And when you have that and you don't have that little, you know, the little thing on your shoulder telling you other things, you're speaking to people in full confidence of what you're telling them. Not having the little thought, oh, well, they don't want this, or they won't understand this, or no, you have the total shift of being able to confidently tell them what's possible for them because they don't know it yet.
Yeah. Yeah. Were you messaging anyone on your team or any of your potentials while you were there in Dallas? Were people coming to your mind?
I wrote a list. We did have one part where we were supposed to message people, but I would say even the way that I responded to them was different. In my rut, it has very been maybe more me focused, and I needed to do this and I needed to earn the cruise and I needed to, and now the shift has gone back to where it needs to be, is what is this, meet them where they're at, but be able to share that dream and vision for them. And that's a better place to be.
Christy, I want you to get you thinking about something very specific because, you know, I think we've all of us that know you, we've known for a long time that you have a desire to lead, that you have an amazing story that needs to be told, but also you as a person need to get in front of more people and share with more people and lead more people. Knowing this isn't about you now, like, in other words, your business is not a reflection of how well you're doing. You're not sharing because you need to go on a cruise. That's just a nice perk. How does it change how you're going to raise up new leaders?
Well, it's to share that same vision with them. Like, all of these things are incentives and things, but that's just a dangling carrot. Like, it's so much deeper and wider. I always see this, and now I see it more of just it making, it's a ministry, and it's making an impact in people's lives. And if they're able to see that and hold that same kind of weight, that their purpose and the lens that they're going to see this through will be through that.
Yeah, like, you know, what gets me really excited about the future is not only like looking forward to hearing from you more and getting to like letting you get some spotlight, letting you get some reward, but also I think you truly love sharing with people. I think that's part of what lights your fire. But what really fires me up is wondering, who are you going to raise up underneath you who has that same kind of fire? Like she wants to be able to tell her story. Maybe she's an introvert or maybe not, but either way, like she also has a burning desire to talk to people and to let them see the deeper purpose, because that's going to be when you really know there's duplication, you know, like not just me speaking in front of people, doing it scared, but now someone, you know, who's come up through me to be able to go and do that too. That's when I think your fire is going to be so lit by that.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Genevieve did talk about keeping it simple. So
Yeah.
I think I could come on strong with this maybe. But being able to meet somebody in that same aspect has been a prayer. When I had a team that I was leading that was bigger, that was one of my favorite things to see. It's one thing seeing it in me, but being able to see someone else like rise up and like break free from these thoughts, and just that was my probably top one favorite thing through this.
Love it. Andrea, any questions come up on your end?
Yeah, one of the things Christy and I talked about, we got to sit next to each other, and the Hispanic table was next to us, and Christy's like at our table, she's like, and I mean, they literally were front and center. They were so loud, they were so fun. But I asked her, I said, like, tell me kind of what you learned, because as the US market, we've kind of always run the way we've always run, right? We've kind of done this a certain way. And I said, what did you feel like from the Hispanic market that you kind of learned? And something Christy taught me was, this is about the US Hispanic market growing. This is not about Plexus growing in Mexico, although that tends to happen, right, Christy? Because some of these people tend to have family that lives in Mexico, where some of our, you know, where they have a little bit different products, but they have products there. But really, and I just thought it was so interesting, Christy kept saying Hispanic market, Latin market, because Christy is Cuban, correct, Christy?
Yeah.
And so what I thought was so interesting is that she really opened my eyes to go, wait, yeah, why am I not, like, I live in Texas, and I was talking to Matthew Aaron, who's at corporate, who obviously lives in Phoenix, and these are huge Latin America, Hispanic like, you know, like cultural, like Spanish speaking, you know, communities within our community. It's like, where are we not plugging in there? And so it's interesting how we can be somewhere like this. And Christy, I want to hear how you feel like this can change all of our businesses, because I tend to go Mexico open, you know, Hispanic meeting, this is all for Mexico. And I kind of tend to like put it aside. And even Christy said, like, Andrea, they were translating into English, or she did her whole speech in English so that she could actually have it recorded, and they translated it into Spanish for everybody else. So I just thought, Christy, where did you feel like this kind of opened, like it actually opened your eyes and kind of your business mindset of like, oh, I think I've always done it, maybe the way Andrea and Becky have done it, but I actually can expand. Like, is there a difference in how you would do business to expand into the Hispanic market?
Yeah, I think their values maybe are different, not maybe different, but family is very important. Fun is important. Just culturally, many of these people, including like my family, I'm first generation Cuban, so my parents were born in Cuba, my grandparents, all of them, and so many of us in the United States or Gen Z or millennials or whatever, that's the case. And being able to speak to what's important to them, which really is important to all of us. Like family is very important to us. Community is very important. And being able to share with them why joining Plexus would help, you know, why those values would be important to them, or, you know, focusing on even on that aspect of it. Financial security is very important. Leaving a legacy is very important. So honing in on those things when you're sharing would attract those people. And I would also say, don't, like you said, don't disservice, like, oh, well, it's a Hispanic market. But like there was Tracy Fogel, she was there. She has a VIP that was speaking. She spoke in Spanish, but she came to support her. She does not speak a lick of Spanish. Like she's blonde hair, blue eyed. She was the minority in the group at that time. And but they did the little translator thing, and she was there just to kind of support her. And they met because their kids go to school together. So instead, like I would say this would help everybody's business, because you can expand your mind instead of saying, oh, well, I can't relate to them, or I don't know, like, I don't know Spanish, or I don't know anything like about that culture. You're able to, and you know, it's really is, that's why they're really intentional about reaching that community.
I saw that there was wisdom when Christy said, Andrea, you don't have to know Spanish. Everyone in the room could speak, I mean, for the most part, could speak English and Spanish. So it wasn't like, it was just some people are more comfortable speaking, especially like their stories in Spanish, or it felt a little bit more like community driven for things to be in Spanish. But like we have two people at corporate. I think it was Laura and the girl whose name starts with an N. I can't.
Moody's.
Yeah, see, she says it with like the pretty R's and stuff, and I can't do all the rolling. So but and then I will tell y'all, if you start to go, I don't know what to do, I kind of feel like there's some obstacles here. Christy inspired me to ask Matthew at corporate to do an FAQ. So what they're gonna do at corporate is where it feels like we as English speaking, maybe even like, you know, 10th generation, you know, Americans that don't feel like maybe we have connection or a way to bring in a Hispanic market. Anytime that you feel an objection there, or you start to feel yourself go, well, but I can't, but I don't speak Spanish, but I don't know where to find stuff. But what if they only speak Spanish and I don't know where to find the videos or how to answer their questions? He's going to do an objections. They're going to get back with corporate, and where the US market and the US English speaking market feels obstacles with the US Hispanic or Spanish speaking market, and they're going to kind of start to bridge some of those gaps on obstacles. So I really feel like, Christy, one of the things I want to tell you is you showing up so uncomfortably in Florida, and then doing the uncomfortable thing and coming to Dallas, and then being willing to change your plans. I don't know if y'all caught this, but she was only going to do the Hispanic event on Friday night, and Genevieve and corporate not only talked her into coming to Gold School, but made sure she had to buy a whole new plane ticket. They changed her, like corporate did all this to make sure she stayed and she got the full gamut of the whole weekend. Like they went, I would say, above and beyond what any of us would have expected. Like, I mean, my flight's already this. If I can't change it, you know, for free, I kind of can't change it. They're like, no. We'll take care of it. You just get the flight done, and we'll fix it. And they did. And I think you being willing to be a little like uncomfortable, like, I don't know anybody here. I've never met Angie, which by the way, if you've never met Angie Zemmel and you get to meet her, just know you will be loved and brought in and you will be hugged till your, earrings pierce your head, and it's all just good. So, going to I just want to say, where are you stretching yourself this week? Where are you stretching yourself this month? Because I would say Christy being willing to stretch herself to go to an event where she knew nobody, put her in a position. God actually had gone before her and had prepared the way for it to lead to Hispanic market meeting, which led to going to Gold School and getting fed for 8 hours. So it's one thing when you go and you speak at an event where you can't really grab anything because you're so worried about your own talk. And then you get to come and actually sit and listen for 8 hours and be poured into. So I just think like God is so faithful of like, I need you to pour out, but then I'm going to pour so back into you in a way that you're not even on Friday. You weren't even prepared for Saturday, and he just did it anyways. I just think that's amazing. So any other last like tidbits you got from Gold School that you felt like were like actionable?
Yes, I know we've done winning day for a little while, and I still work off winning day, but I realize I've been doing winning day just memorized in my head. Genevieve walked us through winning day, which, if you don't know, is kind of like you break your work time in different chunks. And the way that she broke it down made it much more sense to me. And like one of the things that she said was, like when you're starting a conversation with someone, the first conversation isn't intentionally going to be, the expectation isn't I'm signing you up right now. I mean, granted, that does happen sometimes, but it's like this little 10-step process. And we have to have a lot of like a funnel we talk about and different people in the different parts of the process. But she normalized that it's okay that we're supposed to have a 10-step process, and that's a part of it. And she said something too, don't fish for minnows when we want big mouth bass. So we have to bait for what we are looking for. Our post and who we are speaking to has to speak to that person. She said she was this professional woman, in the corporate world, and she was super uppity about network marketing. But when she had a health concern that she was in the hospital and she wasn't making money, and she was more worried about the impact of the finances we're going to make than, her health, she realized that, okay, something needs to change. But the person that she worked with spoke to her because it spoke to her what she wanted. She wanted to be able to be home with her kids. She wanted, to say yes to field trips and things like that. So we have to speak to who we are looking for, because most of the time they're also looking for us too.
So good. Like, I love hearing the takeaways and the things that hit everybody so differently. Thank you so much, Christy. You are such a gift to all of us. Yeah, I love that Becky's like, Christy's my 7. I'm like, Christy's my 8, but we never think about it. Like, I'm like, if anybody in the room that I probably see the most, Christy's probably the person that I feel like out of all of Gold School that I probably have the most face-to-face time. It's because she shows up on every call. It's because we get to talk. It's because she asks questions. It's because I know what all the obstacles are and the things that are holding her back in her business, because she shows up so well every time. Every time the doors, it's kind of like when you're a kid and every time the doors open, you're at church. Like every time I think the church doors were unlocked, we were there for whatever was going on. And I would say Christy's like that with her business. Like anytime someone's offering something. And if you want to hear Christy's health story that she has alluded to a little bit, she's going to do that on Rally Chat tonight with Roz. So Rally Chat information is on the table. If you need it, it's every Monday night with Roz. I think it's at 7 or 7:30 Central Time. So it's early. What time is it for you? 7 o'clock Central Time. So
Yeah,
8 o'clock
7 Central, 8 Eastern.
Okay. So that'll be tonight, and you'll get to hear Christy's. Okay, so let's hear some more Gold School. I want to hear from Pam. So we heard from Pam last week that she had gone gold, about going gold, but something that Pam said when we were sitting at dinner after Gold School really was kind of eye-opening for me, that she, at the company she was with before, when she was with RNF, they didn't have access to like the doctors who were their founders, who are kind of like their Alec and Tarl and Jean. But I know that Pam got contact with Alec because I saw a picture. I saw her talking to him. I think everybody from corporate at some point came up and like knew who Pam was, what she had done. And y'all, we're talking to someone who's been in our company for all of maybe 6 or 7 weeks now. So I want to hear from Pam. What did you think of your first Plexus event ever? And like, what are some things that you felt like, okay, this solidifies even more that I am where I'm supposed to be?
I have cold chills as you're talking. So, you know, everybody was so welcoming. I mean, from day one, everybody's been so welcoming, but I have to tell you, I had a sense of fear going because I have really lost a whole lot, but God is there and he knew all this already. So that, I'm kind of choked up telling you, but and I'm not a fearful person typically. I'm very extroverted. I'm kind of loud and out there. But I was sitting in my hotel room and I was nervous and afraid and kind of sad. I don't know if it was kind of like grief coming over me in a way. I don't know what was really happening, but I was like, get your big boy boots on and just go out there. And it was like I hadn't missed a beat when I went out there because everybody was so warm and welcoming. And my first event at Rodan and Fields, I started in fall of 2018. And that was in September of that year. And we had our first convention, but it was too soon for me to attend. So I was able to attend in 2019. Well, Doctors Rodan and Fields are on the top
Make your
12
computer easier.
Forbes list. And so they're right up there with like Oprah Winfrey and things like that. And they're billionaires. This is like their second $1 billion brand. Well, in 2019, I was able to get a picture with them and meet them. The same thing with the founding consultant. But after 2019, that was all gone. If you went to another meeting after that or convention, they literally had bodyguards. They literally had bodyguards and you couldn't get near them. They were whisked on stage and whisked off stage, including our founding consultant. So for me to be able to sit by Celeste was like, OMG. And then Alec, to be able, I mean, this is a 16-year-old company. And to be able to walk up to him without bodyguards and say, can I get a picture with you? And he was like, oh, yes, no problem. I can get a picture. And then later he stands up. He didn't know who I was. He stands up at the thing, and he's talking and he's saying, my commitment is that even though all this is going on in the industry right now, we're not taking Plexus into affiliate marketing space. This came from the founder's mouth. So I went back up to him again and I said, I know you don't know me. I'm the crazy woman that had the picture with you earlier. And I said, I know you don't know me, but I came from Rodan and Fields. And another corporate leader from Rodan and Fields was also there. And I know her, and she works her name's Jennifer Spalding, and she works in training for Plexus now. And so she's really, really tall, really, really tall, like 2 feet taller than me. And she and I had worked on the latest innovation at Rodan and Fields, and it was ready to roll out. And we got the word in the field on July 15th. And July 16th was that rollout of that new product. So she was also there to greet me, from a corporate standpoint at Plexus. So that was, I'm telling y'all, people have asked me, people are watching me, and I had one specific person call me afterwards and say, okay, tell me the scoop. What was it like? What were they like? Did they talk to you? And I'm like, you're not even going to believe it. And, I was just like, they even bought my dinner. I'm like, you're just not even going to believe how this was. So I just can't thank y'all enough. I mean, to come, it's like kind of going to kindergarten for the first day. It's like, okay, well, is anybody going to be nice to me? And everybody was wonderful. I mean, Roz, here's another thing. I'm just going to put this out there and tell y'all, when you're with women sometimes and you're in a threesome, let's say there's 3 women in a huddle. I don't know if this happens in a men's group, Dave. I don't know. But if you are kind of the lower person on the totem pole and there's a higher person on a totem pole and another higher person on a totem pole walks into the group and you and the high person have been talking and then this other high person walks in, often that other high person only talks to this high person and they make that eye contact. It's like, okay, hello, I'm still here. I was here first. I'm still here. That did not happen to me at all. As a matter of fact, sitting at the table with Roz and Celeste was having a conversation with Roz and I. It wasn't like I was just sitting over here like some bump on a log. I mean, it was just amazing. So I hope that answers your question. I felt very welcomed.
Yeah, I think like I keep getting emotional when y'all are talking, and I think so much of it is like we forget. Like when you've been there 11 years and you're like, oh yeah, I mean, you go to Gold School and this is what you expect, but you don't realize, we don't realize that we're not inviting people in because we forget how special it is. And so I think sometimes it's so good to hear another perspective and be like, oh, right, yeah. Like it's funny to me when like it's interesting funny in like a ironic way that anyone is like, oh, well, Celeste was nice. I'm like, Celeste is the most normal, like, but we're all are, right? And I think like we forget that if we just will bring people in, if people will show up, if you will bring the people you're kind of a little terrified to bring to the event in, then they will have that same experience. Like, could you imagine, like, just sit for a second and think of 3 people on your team that if you could get them in that room, if you could get them in a hug with Angie Zumwalt, in a conversation, you know, in a dinner with Roz, sitting at the table, right? If you could have them sitting at a round table at an event with Celeste and show them, you know, get them in a picture with Genevieve or Alec or whomever, you're like, oh my gosh, what this would do for my business. So my question is, what is the next thing you're actually inviting people to? Like, my question is, are you inviting them to any, like we have corporate does calls, you know, I think once or twice a month where you're hearing from Alec or Jean or Michael Hartman or Blake Shaver or somebody from corporate. Genevieve obviously does trainings. There's obviously like silver trainings. I know I'm doing the gold training tomorrow night on the Go for Gold call. So there's so many things. Are you plugging them in so they can meet people virtually on the master classes, on the rally chats, on whatever team call your team has access to? Are you inviting them into those so that they get to see these faces and then turn around in January? And maybe if you're close to Dallas, you'll come to Super Saturday and they'll get to actually be in the room, at the table, at the dinner, all those things with those people. And then whether you're local to Dallas or you're outside of and you do your Super Saturday somewhere else, turning around and like, I was just reading in a book today that a bunch of diamonds are reading together. Like, are we selling convention already? Because one of the things I heard you say, Pam, is I wasn't ready yet for convention. Well, there isn't a single person currently on our teams that shouldn't be ready by June to show up at convention. Convention's in Dallas, in case you don't know. It's at the Dallas Convention Center. In case you kind of want to know a location of kind of where am I centrally, it's downtown Dallas. And I just want to challenge you, like, do you have those things on your calendar? And are you already, are you selling Gold School in such a way that they're like, oh, I'm coming to the next thing? I mean, Pam is going to have people, I have a feeling, from her old company coming to either Super Saturday or convention because they're like, I don't know if I believe her, but I want to be in the room with these people too. And Gold School is going to come back in 2025. We're a little unsure of the location. Some of us are hearing West Coast, some of us are hearing Nashville and Dallas and Phoenix. So we will get you locations as soon as we have them. But my question is just real quick, where are you plugging people in so that they can get just a smidge of what Sarah and Christy and Pam have talked about? Okay, Sally, I want to hear from you. You are a fresh gold. I want to hear a takeaway or two that you got from the 8 hours that I sat between Christy and Sally. So I feel like I got a little bit of both of them. Roz is so good at a million things, y'all. But one of the things Roz is good at is before we even walked into the room, she had someone putting reserve signs on our tables. So we had 3 front tables other than the Hispanic market, which was like front and center. Then it was us. And then 3 more tables of like all our team was like all together at one end. So we all kind of got to sit close to each other. And whenever there were breaks and stuff, we were kind of all together. And so I got to sit between Christy and Sally. But Sally, I want to hear from you as a brand new gold, but that's been here for a little while. What were some takeaways you had?
Well, I will first just like to say, I don't really think we really appreciate how lucky we are to be on this team. And I mean that with all sincerity, because I know that we are one plexus, but I think that our team culture is just like second to none. And all the leaders are responsible for that. And you each bring so much to the table, appropriately named. And it is a blessing. I mean, the most amazing blessing. So, you know, I will just tell you, I have struggled so much to understand my why. I looked at Andrea. I said, I'm not sure I really know my why. And I looked at Angie and I said, oh, I wish I knew my why. I do know my why, but I think the Lord is continuing to reveal that to me. Because I came into this community, like Andrea said, you know, I've been around a while, but I just have come into Plexus to do the business in the last year. And I came in because I honestly was just so hungry for the community. I had retired from a great, successful job where I was very fulfilled. I enjoyed it. But, you know, I'm 67 in 2 months. And while the success has been wonderful in my career, at this life stage, I think the Lord, what he's revealing to me is that this is really a season of significance. And it is so enriching to me to know that the Lord is using Plexus to help that significance come to fruit. And so for me, I think one of the greatest takeaways from Gold School is that I can be curious in a different way, because I have such a deep well of belief in the products because of the success that I've had. My husband's an amazing success story that is just terrific too. The business, you know, belief comes from watching Andrea and Ellen and Angie and a lot of other people who don't even know me, because I was, you know, showing up and watching their story. So, I mean, I have a deep well of belief, and I came with that. But for me to recognize and realize how the Lord is going to take this business and use the gifts that I have to really pour into other people and to meet them where they are, whether it's for their health or for their financial need. But for me, I think this last year has helped me sort of get some footing underneath me to really sort of launch into using what I've already known for a long time and what my natural gifts are, but for the Lord to allow that belief to blossom into something that could really truly bless other people. And I can realize that just by being curious. I liked Alex's acronym of BACON, which was a lot of fun. And I'll tell you what that is. Belief, action, commitment, one plexus, and never give up. And I thought that was a fun little acronym. So that was important for me. The takeaway for me really was to deepen my why, which is the significance. But I want to repeat a sentence that Genevieve spoke, and I think that Sarah mentioned it. So what she says is that Plexus allows you to be a powerful, connected, driven professional. I won't say woman because Dave's on here. Professional, and have time to be a mom or a dad, a husband or a wife, to show up and enjoy your life. So, I mean, to me, that's a very succinct way of saying what you could say a million different ways, but I really liked that. And then another takeaway that was very important for me personally is that when you have a process is really is a recipe. And I love to cook. I love cooking, but a recipe has ingredients, an amount, and an order. Well, our Plexus business is the same thing. You know, our process should have those essential elements, and you need the right ingredients, the right amount, and you need to put them in the right order in order to get the outcome that you want. So I thought that was very fundamental, but it was a great takeaway. And I will tell you, Pam, you are just getting started to have a taste of what is so, so sweet. And we're glad that I'm glad that you're here, because I want somebody my age too. All these young mamas, I love it that I have more people my age. So anyway,
It was a
it was
pleasure
great.
meeting you, Sally. It was a pleasure meeting everybody, but it was fun meeting you, Sally.
Thank you.
Okay, I think that was really good. We did all that in 50 minutes. I'm really impressed with us. I just want to say, if you can get to Gold School as they start to announce them, like, don't even worry about where it is. Don't worry about when it is. I mean, you heard Sarah say, like, it took her a year to actually physically get to the room of Gold School, but it was the timing was so perfect. Like, had she come to Gold School immediately the month after, it wouldn't have worked out. But for Pam, it was exactly what she needed to add belief. So I wouldn't worry about where and when you're going to get to Gold School. I would really focus on, here's the best part about Gold School, is when you're the sponsor with a new gold, or you're a sponsor of a new senior gold. Like, to me, that's even sweeter than being there the first time, is when you're there with somebody on your team who has hit those 2 ranks. So I want to challenge you, everybody listening, that your goal is to actually get a new level 1 gold or a new level 1 senior gold in time for them to get to attend the Gold School that's right for them. And then if you get to fly there. Gold School was never designed to be a travel event, by the way. Gold School was always designed to be wherever the most number of golds are happening and being developed, that the Gold School, the next Gold School, would be there. And so that the most of those people could drive and just get there, and it not be overnight hotels, and it not be a big cost to people. And what they've realized, and what so many of y'all have done, is everybody wants to be in the room. So Sarah's willing to travel 5 and 6 hours from Houston by car, but Christy's willing to fly in from Florida, and Pam's willing to fly in from the East Coast. And luckily, Sally and I just got to drive in for the, get up early and drive in for the day because it was local. But it really doesn't matter where it's going to be if that's where you're supposed to be, as get yourself in the room. I do want to make sure you have on your calendar, January 11th is Super Saturday. So please, and I know this is hard. I don't know about you. My life is busy in January. First of all, it's just regular life, but basketball season takes over the Mitchell household, and January is basketball season. But I just want to tell y'all, I had so many people on Saturday go, I can't believe you're here. Don't you have basketball? And I was like, luckily, no. But also, I'm willing to give up a Saturday game, or I'm going, I'll miss tournaments, to go to New York for Star Diamond trip, or I'll miss a tournament or two, maybe a game or two to go to Bahamas. And is it worth it? Yes, because my kid's getting to do what he wants to do because of a business that I'm running. So I'll go to 90% of his games, and I'll miss 10% to grow a business that allows us to say yes every single time he turns around and wants to be able to travel for basketball, or buy a new pair of shoes, or invest in his team, to be a sponsor for his high school team. I get to do all those things because of this business. So I just want to challenge you, if one of your things is, I don't know if that's going to work for our schedule, give yourself permission to say yes to Plexus. It doesn't mean you're saying no to your child. It's so that you can say yes to the other things that your kids are going to get to ask you to do, that growing your business really does matter. So I just want to challenge you that so often we think, oh, I'm putting my business ahead of my family or ahead of my kids. But really what you're doing is you're putting the future of the legacy business that we've talked about, the growth of your team, showing up for people. You put that ahead of a game, a tournament, something that's going on, and then you get to say yes to all the other things. So it's not an always thing. It's not a forever thing. There will be things that you can't attend from Plexus because they're more important to be with your family, and vice versa. I just want to challenge you to give yourself permission to go to Super Saturday, that if there's a location near you that you can travel to, get there. If you need a home base, Dallas is 100% open arms, ready to take you. Y'all, it's going to be at the House of Blues in Dallas, which is just swanky and cool. It's 800 people can fit. I talked to Genevieve about it. She's like 800 people can fit, and we already are preparing for overflow rooms. So like within the House of Blues, which if you don't know anything about the House of Blues, anyone that's cool has sung at the House of Blues. Celeste and I went and saw Pat Benatar there. I mean, which just so much fun. So I mean, it's just like it's a fun place to get to do. They have a gospel Sunday morning. So if you're still in Dallas on Sunday morning, the House of Blues does this gospel breakfast on Sunday morning. So it's like a blast. So the House of Blues is Super Saturday. So Super Saturday is going to be in Dallas out the House of Blues on January 11th. But if you are not local to that and there are going to be local Super Saturdays kind of spread out across the country, we will get you that information as we get them. Okay, I hope you'll have a really great Monday. We'll talk to you later.